All right, I want to get back to that topic that I mentioned a minute ago, the discussion about when to reopen things in our country, in our state, in our local cities as well. Now, we are seeing that doctors are able to see patients for non-emergency meetings. This is something that folks had to put on hold for a while as we all sheltered in place. It's all part of the push to reopen the state of Texas, those phases that Governor Greg Abbott has talked about. Want to hear from you this morning in our poll. Go to WFAA.com/vote now, or you can use the app that Kaylee just told you about. Already we've had several hundred people vote this morning, and most of them are pushing for, hey, July or later. Folks are not as antsy to get out as you might think if you've seen some of those protests around the country. But certainly one city that is ready to get things going, or at least their mayor, Colleyville, which is where our Chris Sadeghi is live. And Chris, the mayor there announced some changes yesterday. What does he have planned for the city?
Well, he's planning a reopening that might happen a little quicker than in other parts of the state here in Colleyville. By the mayor's proclamation, it will allow some businesses to reopen, at least in a limited capacity, even though the state's order is still urging caution. Mayor Richard Newton will allow churches in Colleyville to resume in-person services right away, so long as people follow the distancing guidelines. Then on Friday, restaurants will be allowed to serve people on their patio if they keep the proper distance between tables. And also, additionally, one-on-one appointments can be made at salons, barbershops, gyms, and massage therapists. It would seem to contradict the governor's order, and businesses in violation of the governor's order could face fines. That's why the mayor said he's not forcing anyone to do business, but at least now they aren't restricted. Tarrant County Judge Glenn Whiteley didn't seem to agree with the move.
What we've tried to do is maintain consistency, and when someone just kind of goes out and says, okay, I'm going to do contrary to what the governor as well as what other local cities have decided to do in the county, then that makes it a little bit more difficult.
Do you worry that this puts anyone at risk?
No, I don't. I would not have generated the propagation.
Now, something that is opening statewide today are those non-essential medical procedures and surgeries. Those can resume, although don't expect a huge rush right away. We talked to the Dallas County Medical Society, and they said the patient should contact their doctors on the best and safest way to have those procedures done. Also in Dallas County, the Commissioner's Court voted to extend the Safer at Home order to May 15th, but it was not a unanimous decision. There were 2 commissioners who voted against extending it. Mark, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I'm one of those people who has put off some medical appointments until this is all blown over. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to being able to see their doctor as soon as possible. Would love for you to keep weighing in our poll this morning. WFAA.com/vote now is where you can weigh in. We're asking you, when do you think the state of Texas should open? April, May, June, July, or later? And right now, most of you would think July or later. You've seen those protests around the country, perhaps folks trying to get their cities open, but they may be the vocal minority based on what we're seeing in our poll numbers. Even as states and municipalities move ahead with trying to get things reopened, the director of the CDC is warning that a second wave of coronavirus could be coming later on this year, and that wave could be even worse than the first one. As we get to our health and wellness reporter, Sonia Azad. Sonia, why would that second wave potentially be even worse?
Well, Mark, what we're hearing now from scientists, right, is that the fact that it could coincide with flu season certainly would make it worse. And you mentioned the CDC director who told the Washington Post that having 2 simultaneous respiratory outbreaks would put, quote, unimaginable strain on our healthcare system. He says federal and state officials need to use the upcoming months to prepare for the possibility of this second wave. And right now, of course, we know that COVID-19 is responsible for more than 42,000 deaths in the United States. Fluid number. Last flu season, because I know a lot of people have asked about this, from October through April 4th, the CDC estimates that there was somewhere between 24 and 62,000 deaths. So that puts it into perspective for you. One key, though, is being ready, and that includes so much more. This massively scale up their ability to identify those who have been infected through testing and then find whoever they interact with through what's being called contact tracing. So certainly a situation that's fluid, like I mentioned before, and one that we'll keep our eye on. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Sonia. Some other top stories we're following this morning. Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price has tested negative for coronavirus, but she will remain in self-quarantine out of caution. Mayor Price was in close contact with a city employee last week who tested positive for the virus. And more testing is coming to North Texas. Walgreens announced it plans to expand drive-through testing at its stores. There will be 2 in North Texas, 1 in Fort Worth, the other in southern Dallas. Both locations open Friday and will give you results in 15 seconds. Voters who fear catching COVID-19 can now vote by mail. A judge issued a temporary injunction allowing voters to request a mail-in ballot. We still don't know much about the impact the virus is going to have on the presidential election come November. And more Texans are out of a job because of the pandemic. Governor Abbott gave an update for us yesterday. 1.5 million people have filed for unemployment. So if you're looking for work, the state has set up a website with openings. You can go to workintexas.com. Jason Wheeler also has a few tips and right on the money. We're going to hear from him in our next half hour. And with more people at home, Netflix picking up some big business. The streaming company added 16 million global subscribers in the first 3 months of the year. The quarter spanned the beginning of stay-at-home orders in the U.S. and around the world, so who knows how many more people have joined on.